Hello everyone, my name is Declan, and this is our game Lifestyle City. Little city building game on some floating islands that we made. This is our Trello board, and this is the goal that we had in mind. We outlined several things that we wanted in the game with bullet points, and we made our user stories based off that. We completed most of them, and we did this by giving each team member 2 or 3 stories to complete.
Hello, my name is Anson, and going over the features that I have developed, which were the currency display, the shop, and the slots machine. So, on the bottom left of the screen is the amount of coins the current user has, which is 973,749. So, if I go to the shop and choose a building to place, let's say this one, which is 10,000, and place it here, it's subtracted 10,000 from the user's coins. If I go back to the shop and let's say this one, which is 2,000, it's subtracted 2,000. If I go to the slots machine now and press spin, it's subtracted 100 and the user didn't gain anything, so nothing changes. If I spin again, loses, but also gains 150. So those are my features that I have developed for this sprint one.
Hello everyone, I am Joseph and here are the user stories I've done in Lifestyle City. So as a user, I want to see my crops grow through different stages of growth after planting them so that I can track their progress and plan my farming activities accordingly. So this is how it works. So once we go into the mini game, you are greeted with a plot with plant types. There's the XP bar and the coin counter on the bottom left. Now once you select the plant type, once you plant them, they will go through different stages. We have 4 stages, and the growth rate is set to 2 seconds for the corn per stage, and 4 seconds for each stage for the eggplant. So you can only harvest them once they reach the final stage, and you gain the XP and coins depending on which plant type you chose.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm one of the developers. My 2 user stories are XP and tutorial. So XP, once you get something, the level, as you can see, the level will increase. So as the level increase, the amount of level, the next level, the amount of level required for the user will also increase. As for the tutorial, if you go back home, when you press tutorial, it goes to tutorials, and then the right shows the next positions, and then the next image, and then the left will shows the previous image. And the hollow circle just means the current image the user will earn, and the full circle means how many images are left. And if you go press home, let's go back home. As for the breakdown chart, at first it was just mainly research, so there weren't anything to do. And the tutorial were a bit more difficult, since not difficult, it was a bit more time consuming, because there were some, I was researching about like making it look better, look good. And yeah, the XP, there were some references to follow which helped a lot, which I finished before the tutorial. And there were some personal stuff going on, which is bad. The problem I faced with the tutorial was the circle, because I was thinking to put them as a group first, and then so I can line them up easier, but like I didn't get it working, so I just put them and line them up individually. There was also some, like, the software we're using to pull everything together, like it didn't work. I lost my save, so I had to restart on the tutorial. Yeah. I completed the user story, which is about the level up I showed you before. The level will increase, and if it's 99 out of 100, will not increase the level. And then once you level up, the next level, the amount of required for the next level will also increase. And then tutorials is just basic functions, the game mechanics. Once you read it, the user will know the game, how the game is like. Thank you for watching.
Hi, my name is Nicholas. For this game, I was tasked with the development of 3 features. The first, to have a placeable house, as farming is a key element and houses aren't necessary. Collision detection, which basically means that we don't want houses to be placed atop one another or to intersect with one another. And the last one was to have a transparency feature, which basically gives you a preview of what it will look like before you place an object down. I'll now give a brief demonstration of this. If we head over to the shop and we select a building, we can see that there is a transparent version of the building which gives you a better idea of what it will look like once it's placed down. When I try to place it atop another building, intersecting or directly on top, it doesn't work. And if I try to place it down on its own little plot of land, it stays there.
So my two user stories were, as a user I want to be able to save my progress so that I can resume where I left off, and also that as a user I want to be able to access my save from any device. So if I log in here, you can see my currency in the bottom. Just going to do a few examples. There, 1,000. Now I'm going to place a building. Now if I log out and log back in, I will have the same currency and the same position of my buildings. My second user story is to demonstrate that saves are saved across devices. So if I make some changes here, say do a bit of gambling, place another object, now when I log in on another device, the progress should be saved. Yep.
Going over our burn down chart, as you can see, we did trend down, but we didn't reach 0. The main cause of this were the user stories we had selected at the start of the sprint, the ones in white. These ones we did not get to and were not developed, and as such we had to pivot towards other user stories to develop. The significant jumps down were from our bigger user stories such as our database and tutorial. Those ones required a bit more work, and when work towards them were completed, those were the jumps that you can see the most.
Right, so next I'd like to talk about some of the lessons we learned as a team during this process, how we improved from that and how we intend to continue improving into Sprint 2. One of the first problems that we faced is when we were figuring out new skills to put this product together. We used different versions of the program, and when we tried to bring those together, we encountered quite a lot of problems. So going forward, everything is done in the same project, which leads to avoiding a lot of these issues. We also ran into a problem where the scope of some of the stories that we thought would be simple were generally quite challenging. For instance, with placing a house, which seemed like a simple task, you had to find assets for the actual house. You also had to develop a place to put the house down, and this all just increased the scope and the duration for a story, how long it took. So one of the biggest things that we did to improve as a team was adjusting the definition of done, and this led to an entire change in our process where to decide that a user story is complete, we would all get together as a team, whether it be in person or online, and we would go over the implementation of this story into the project. We'd test it, we'd make sure that there are no bugs, no problems with any of it, and then we would tick it off as complete together. And this really made it a lot easier to complete a user story. So one of the biggest things that we will need to continue training for is we intend to implement a form of multiplayer, as this kind of game is elevated by playing with your friends and comparing to your friends. And in order to do this, we will have to learn a bunch of new skills. It's certainly very intimidating, but we are looking forward to it as a team in Sprint 2. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.